Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be walking you through InVision Studio, which is a platform, application, software, whatever you want to call it, that essentially allows you to produce high fidelity prototypes and designs for any website you may be working on, from a phone app to a website. So with InVision Studio, you can pretty much do anything design-wise, from making a super basic level wireframe to an all-out interactive website with detailed buttons and animated transitions between pages before you have to commit to the extensive coding that it would take to create them. Think of it as the next step to wireframing, where you have a sense of the general outline for each of your web pages and you want to see it fully fleshed out with interactions between the pages, images on display, scrolling, or any other features that you may not necessarily be able to get a sense of just through wireframing your designs. In our case for 391, I'm just going to be focusing on walking you through how to create some pretty basic web page designs that would be possible with the HTML and CSS coding experience that you've already had knowledge of through the class. There's a lot of features on here that I won't cover in this video just because this program's really vast and there's a lot you can do to create designs that appear fully functioning and are only missing the coding. This kind of program I think is best suited for heavy-duty coding with languages like JavaScript, but I still think it's a really useful tool, and I definitely encourage you to mess around with the program on your own just to get a sense of everything you can do with it. If you're thinking of producing extensive websites even with just HTML and CSS, this app can be effective in helping you plan out the look beforehand. So now you have a better sense of what InVision Studio is capable of, and we can start the demo. So the first thing you're going to see when you open up the application is the files, any files that you have already created on here, and below that are tutorials for different features and presets that the program is capable of. But we're going to focus on creating a new file, and that's going to be at the bottom right hand corner. So you'll just select the plus sign, and first save the file. You'll see an untitled tag on the top, and so just name it whatever you want and start working on the artboard you have. That artboard is basically a canvas, one page if you want to think of it like that. And so I'm thinking of that as my home page, and I'm just going to copy and paste that a couple times to create a whole quote-unquote website, as if we were making a web portfolio for 391. And so you're going to have a home page, an about page, a portfolio page, and then contact page. And now we can go ahead and get started working on adding elements to each artboard. So if you don't have anything selected, at the top of the application, you're not going to see any icons come up. But once you do select an object, you'll see certain functions that you can use with it. And so there's interactions, components, paths, editing paths, and then a couple different Boolean features of grouping and merging and separating, as well as masking and rotating. But mostly we're going to be working with the symbol on the left, which is a little plus sign or cross, and that'll allow you to add different shapes, some images, text, and new artboards to your project. So again, I'm going to be mainly relying on that upper left-hand icon that is labeled, if you hover over it, insert layer or add component, and just adding a bunch of different pictures and text to kind of fill up space and lay out my design for my website. On the right hand side, you're going to see that every time you select an object, it'll give you a number of different options to mess with. For images, it is positioning, that's that X and Y that you see, and then there's width and height, as well as size. Same goes with text, along with color, opacity, all that fun stuff, filling for different shapes, for rectangles and ellipses. You can fill or border them, and yeah. So pretty straightforward for the most part. A lot of features and elements that you've probably seen before on different editing softwares, but I think InVision does a really good job of kind of bringing them all together And one of my favorite elements of this program are the components that you can create. That's what I'm doing right now on the video. And it's basically you can create an object, just any regular rectangle shape. Right now I'm creating the menu bar or the navigation bar on the side that I want for each web page that I've created aside from the home. And you'll go to create component after right clicking, and it'll send you to a master editing component page, and that's where you can kind of go in and design this object that you've now designated as a component. And what making it a component does is allows you to kind of save this entire project, this mini project that you're working on now. You can see that I'm making the whole navigation bar, and I'm going to be able to then save that in its entirety and copy and paste it to basically any other part of my project. So I can plug it into the portfolio page or the contact page, and it's super easy and straightforward. I really like it. So that's what I'm doing right now, just creating a bunch of different little rectangles for each of my quote-unquote buttons, adding a home button, after that an about button, and so on and so forth. So now that I've done that, I don't have to go ahead and save it or anything. It'll automatically assume it is done. And on the upper left-hand side, underneath that little element icon that we've been working with a lot, it says back to page 1. So click on that, and you'll see that the component is now a little purple object within your icon, and you can go ahead and search it up within that little plus sign that we've been using a lot. And I've named this component menu bar. So if I look that up, I will be able to find it and copy it onto the canvas multiple times, as many times as I need. And that allows me to create a navigation bar that I can use repeatedly. And finally, one of the best features about InVision, in my opinion, is the add interaction feature that I am working with now on the video. I'm going to go ahead and select an icon on my homepage that I would assume to be a button. So if someone clicked on it, it would locate them or direct them to another page on my site. For now, I'm doing about. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to use that lightning bolt icon on the top of the application, and that is the add interaction feature. And so when I do that, it'll allow me to point to what I want that specific object to direct our user to. And then I'm just going to go ahead in and select the details of this kind of transition or animation, interaction, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, and it'll show you a little arrow that kind of directly points from the object you selected to where it would move within the prototype. So I'm going to do the same for my portfolio button. I'm going to select the icon for that on my homepage and direct it to the portfolio web page. And then select all the details. I'm just kind of messing with different random specs for it, because was specs the right word to use? I don't think it was. And just to give you a sense of the different kind of animations that it can provide. And finally, gonna do the same with my contact button. And so once you've selected all the different interactions you want to have within your prototype, you can press the little triangle at the top of the application or play button, and you can kind of toggle between the canvases or artboards that you've created and test out those different interactions. So you'll see I've clicked the About button, and it directs us to the About page on my site. I can go back to home. It's not displaying the full web page. It's kind of cut off, but it's all there, I assure you. Yeah, so, and then there's a little home icon on the upper left-hand side where that plus sign once was, and that'll just direct us back to home each time. So I'm kind of just going through and clicking those different buttons that I've now created. You'll see I never made one for home, and if I click on it, nothing happens, and it just highlights those interactions that we do have that we can use. And that is pretty much it. Thank you. I hope this helped. Again, I encourage you to mess around with InVision on your own, as it's a really effective program for prototyping and advanced wireframing or designing before you commit to the bit and start coding your webpage. Thanks.